Hey, what's up guys, Yeti here, welcome back to another video. Today I want to do a bit of an in-depth gameplay breakdown slash trailer analysis for Dishonored 2. Now recently we got a lot of new footage from Bethesda's E3 conference and I wanted to talk about that here. They showed us this sort of montage of, cinematic machinery clips where they scrolled through various areas in the game. They showed us a new trailer and they also showed us 12 minutes of full proper gameplay from the game. So I wanted to basically go through it and show what I noticed as someone who's got over 900 hours in Dishonored. I thought it'd be interesting for me to go through this. I have watched it a couple times, I have made mental notes, but I decided it'd be more interesting for me to go through and just pause it as I notice stuff. Although, as I said, I have gone through it more than once and looked at things and thought about what I wanted to say. But yeah, so let's get into this. What I'm going to do is show it in order as it was shown. Now, unfortunately, for some reason, no one on YouTube shows this first couple of minutes. So for the first couple of minutes, it's going to be like 30 FPS, so it'll be a little choppy on this one. And then I'll switch over, as soon as it gets into the actual gameplay and the trailers and stuff, I'll switch over to the 60 FPS version, so it's a lot less choppy. It's not choppy, but it's just not as smooth as it could be. But yeah, so let's jump right into this. Let's go. So right off the bat, there isn't a ton I wanted to say about this clip just because I think there isn't much to actually say about it. I think I'd maybe be clutching at straws. But this is set in a new place. This is set in Karnica and not Dunwall. Now, I want to try and learn more about Karnica itself, how it's run and how it works. Now, this scene here could maybe hint at a couple things. Honestly, I don't think it's that much. I think this is a little bit, clustering at straws, I guess you could say, but I thought I'd point it out very quickly in that, as you can see, this guy over here, he's sat on this nice little chair, he's smoking a cigar, he's chilling, while this lady over here is working hard, so maybe, like, he's her boss. He looks dressed very nicely, so, there's maybe, like, rich people living. Obviously, we never really got to know too much about the people of Dunwall in the first game, because they were either weaperized, or if they weren't, they were, like, cowering in fear. Obviously, beyond Lady Boyle's party, where there was actually posh people living there, but that's... Beyond that, we didn't really get to learn much about it, but, in this game, people are just living their lives. There aren't, like, loads of people living in fear everywhere, so, even though there is this new plague type thing happening, but, for the most part, there are a lot more people living normally in this game than there were in the previous game, so maybe there'll be more rich people, who knows. Also, maybe there's a little bit of sexism here as well, because, like, she's a woman and she's working really hard, and he's just sat around doing nothing. I don't know, but it's a possibility, but I thought I'd point it out. I just wanted to talk about what's going on here. Like, she has a light pointing down on her work, but she also has a candle here. Like, was the light not sufficient enough? I don't really know what's going on there, unless it's, like, for warmth or something, but seems unlikely. I don't know, I thought I'd point it out. So something you'll begin to notice is that a lot of the game, or a lot of the assets in Dishonored 2 are very similar to Dishonored 1. Now this is, you pretty much know what the timeline's like just from the fact that Emily's grown up and Corvo is also older. This is, I believe, like 15 to 20 years in the future. As far as I know, we don't have that confirmed specifically when yet, but 100% tell me I'm wrong if I am. I googled it quickly before the video and couldn't find it anywhere. I read a few articles on it and stuff, but just from looking at the age, we know pretty much how things are, how far into the future it is. So, things haven't really seemed to have progressed that much as far as, like, the basics of the world go. Now, as we get further into the trailer, we'll start to see, like, the robot dudes and some of the newer technology within the game. But for the most part, you will see that a lot of it is very similar, which I like.
Welcome back to the Empire of the Isles, a rich, Victorian-inspired fantasy world with a distinct style and an exotic...
So as you can see up here, it says Karnica, because that is the name of the place. Still point that out.
...cast of characters.
So actually, I want to go back for a second here and just show off
Victorian-inspired fantasy world
from this angle. So as you can see, yeah, I feel like the game is going to be a lot, maybe even more vertical than the previous game. The previous game was quite vertical, especially in the distillery district or the buildings, which has like multiple different floors that you could go in and like come out higher and stuff. You could go on the rooftops of places. I know places like Sokolov as well, where they had like the apartments in the middle bit where you could go quite high. So it was not necessarily vertically focused, but it wasn't all like super linear on the floor. You could go up and down, and there are a lot more vertical aspects to it. So yeah, this game makes it seem like it's very similar. You'll see more later on about the world as well, but I wanted to point this out early on just to show, you know, there's this balcony here. The building just then seemed really high when it showed that like establishing shot, and then there's the balcony all the way up here, and then as it keeps going, there's this guard over here on the balcony. And then it comes down to the floor as well. And then in the background there you can see the wall of light, which are making a return, but we see those in more detail a little bit later on in the actual gameplay. But yeah, everything's very similar. Even as far as down, you see the shelf thing here. There are a whole bunch of these in Dishonored 1, and this is just a shelf, right? Like a little bookshelf type thing, but where it goes like up and has the things, it has like the diagonal roof. So very, very similar to Dunwall, very similar to Dishonored 1, even down to the shelves. Although the guards are different, and we'll probably talk a bit more on the guards later on.
For Dishonored 2, we wanted to explore a new location, Karnaca, the Jewel of the South.
So these guys are really interesting. As you can see, these are not something we've seen before. Now, they seem to be guards, they seem to be slightly higher. These could be some form of overseer. Obviously, in the previous game, the overseers did wear the golden masks, but these guys are wearing black masks. Now, this could just be the uniform. They could be the same sort of rank and the same type of enemy, because if you recall, the regular guards in this game, as we saw a minute ago, are wearing like white uniform as opposed to the grey uniform in Dunwall. So it could just be the same thing as an overseer, it's just black mask because it's like different uniform, or they could be completely different. We don't really know a ton about these specific enemies. Now, one thing I will say is he stood on this little platform here, he's pointing, he's talking to people, so this leads me to believe that whereas in the previous game you had the guards and then you had the overseers, although they were friendly, they were different sort of people. They were like they were different groups that were sort of collaborating together. Now, this maybe the fact that this guy seems to be telling what the other guards what to do implies that maybe instead of them being like the guards and then these guys, it implies maybe these guys are just like a higher rank of the guards, and maybe these are the leader of the guards, but we'll see more as we go on, hopefully.
Our approach to world creation is very layered. Our art and design teams work together to create a strong sense.
So over here you can see this guy is gutting these massive fishes. He is gutting them, so I'm assuming it's for food, as opposed to whale oil, although we'll talk a bit more on that later on, because we don't see any whales in this, but we do briefly see whale oil in the gameplay. But yeah, this guy, he's gutting them. As you can see, everything seems like normal life here. As I mentioned earlier in Dishonored 1, where everyone's cowering in fear, with this one, a lot more people are living normal life. Hopefully that means a lot more NPC interaction, especially maybe we'll get the sort of chaos thing, where if you're stealthy and earlier on, maybe people will talk to you, but if you kill fucking everyone, maybe as you advance into the game, less people will talk to you, more people will be scared of you, that sort of thing. But you can see here, he's just doing his job with the fish, he's putting up posters or something, or looking at the posters, and then there's a dude stood over here doing like whatever, his daily business. But I want to talk a bit about the fish as well, because the only real fish we got in the previous game were the hagfish, and these are notably bigger than the hagfish. Now, it'll be interesting to see if they are a threat in the game, if they're swimming, if these guys could be a threat, because if they were in the water and you were, I can imagine that is not a good equation. It'd also be interesting to see if you can possess these guys. Obviously, you could possess basically anything in the previous game, that you could, the hagfish, the rats, the wolfhounds, anything really. So it'll be interesting to see if this is just like a a flavor thing, or like a set piece type thing, or if they actually will come into play in the game at any point.
It's a place with a well-realized culture.
I'm assuming this blood up the street is from the fish, because he was like draining them in the bowls, and there is like a drain here, so I don't know, that's all I can assume.
On the people living there, the
could be wrong
they
though.
do, the architecture, economy, the climate, even the food and songs.
So as you can see here, there's like these barbed wire fences, and then there's this dude here stood like between the fences, and there's some guards. This could just be an entrance to an area that's one thing protected off, like a little settlement type thing, or this could be like, there could be a reason why this is blocked off. Obviously we don't really know that yet, but I thought I would point out that this is obviously like a separate area which is barricaded off. As you can see here, the guards. Now, one thing I want to point out quickly with the guards, whilst there isn't much going on, if you recall in the previous game, the guards actually had like they were in the grey, but they had the metal shoulder pads and like chest plates on over their like shirts. These guys don't have any metal things over them. Now, maybe this is just because they don't have much violence there, and the weather is really hot, and they don't want to wear the armor so they can like balance it out. I'm thinking that maybe this could possibly have something to do with the violence. Now, in Dunwall, there was, Weepers they had to fight off, there was threat everywhere, the people were trying to uprise, obviously Corvo was on the loose as well, so they knew about him depending on how you played the game, so they needed the protection, right? But in this game, they're not wearing armor, so I thought of pointing that out. Maybe this means this is a much less violent place, although the bits in the trailer would beg to differ. Maybe they just trust their people more, who knows, but I thought I'd point it out. So these guys interest me. The reason being is because these guys are just sort of hanging out in this corridor. Now we know there is a gang in this game as well, which I am mind blanking and I forgot the name of, and I hate myself for it. I'm sure someone will leave it in the comments, or I'll put something on screen. But yeah, so there is this gang. Maybe these guys are just part of the gang. Now, if that is the case, hopefully it's similar to the previous game where you can be friends with them or you can be against them. But I just thought it was interesting that these guys are hanging out. Now, they are hanging out in what seems to be like this building type thing. Maybe they could have like a weapons shop or something, because you could come down from here. Obviously, it's an alleyway, so you could come from either way. But, it could go either way. Maybe they want to fight you, maybe they're members of the gang and they're just like patrolling or whatever, or keeping an eye on the area, or maybe they run a shop, who knows.
In order to bring Karnaca to life, we've created a custom game engine designed to support our signature art direction.
Okay, I missed that.
We've created a custom game engine.
So this thing down here, it's hard to tell what it is, but it seems to me like some sort of speaker, similar to in the previous game. Obviously, you'd hear a lot of those over the tannoy, a lot of the announcements from the Lord Regent, or from the dude up in the Lord Regent's tower doing the announcements. If you did the non-lethal playthrough of Dishonored 1, you'll know that there's, to basically non-lethally take out the Lord Regent, spoilers, 3, 2, 1, you find his voice recording where he admits to bringing the plague in, and then you put it up in the tower so that it gets played over the tannoys for everyone to hear. So I'm basically just going to assume that that system of hearing these announcements is going to make a return, if they have these.
Designed to support our signature art direction and level design. We wanted Dishonored.
So once again, people going about their business, and also once again, similar technology. These are the trunks which open up, which you get in Dishonored, where you first get your a gear out, and then there's a couple of these in like there's one in the flooded district I know of, and basically it's just a trunk, but technology.
So we've given considerable thought to our lighting and the way it plays across every surface.
So this is about to be interesting. Let me just get this. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, this thing just rolled on. Now this seems relatively new, but also not that new. Now you may remember that there are basically these things in Dishonored 1, which they look like this, and they basically contain bodies. You may most notably remember them from the flooded district, where there's basically this one that's going up and down on the same track, and it comes to the end, opens up, drops a bunch of bodies out, and then goes back and gets more. So this is sort of technology that we've already seen from those, but this one seems much more interesting, because in the previous game it was this cart thing, but it was on a rail and it was just going back and forth. This thing seems to be on some sort of rail, but as you could see when it first came in, there's like electricity along the bottom. So this leads me to believe that technology, although a lot of the basic stuff is advanced, is not advanced even, technology has advanced a bit at the very least, because yeah, this is new. It's a concept that we already had in the previous game, but it's been improved on. And as you can also see from the wheels here, they're circular and they've got these like little notches on, very similar to technology we've seen in the trailer already from that Clockwork Mansion dude. So I just thought it'd be interesting to point out that technology is advancing, but not hugely, which is fair considering it's only been 15 years. And then that naturally segues onto this guy who is completely new technology. And yeah, these guys, we'll see more about these guys in the future. These are basically these robot dudes. They're, I guess, Tallboy-esque. They're going to be fighting. We will talk more about this later because there's more clips of them later on. Something I did want to note is just the style of it. As you can see, he's like orange, and he's got this orange mask, because the ones we see later on aren't always like this.
And stealth gameplay. All of these details.
So they appear to be in these sort of dock type things. Maybe they just charge them. Maybe this is how you turn them on or off. Who knows at this point? But yeah.
More vivid thanks to our new technology, which we call the Void Engine.
So this seems to be maybe part of the Clockwork Mansion, which we saw in the original trailer at last year's E3. Maybe, I mean, again, a lot of this in the video could be like we don't really know what it is yet, but this seems to be, if you've been to Sokolov's house, obviously in the first game when you kidnap Sokolov, he's up in the top floor, so you don't actually, well, depending on how long you wait, you can leave and go to his bedroom, but he's up, you don't actually have to go into the lower part of his house, but if you do go into his house, it's this big open plan area, there's a wall of light type thing in the middle of the room, there's a painting there, it's like super open plan, and then there's like these glass cases with his inventions and stuff in. This reminds me a lot of that. It's this open plan area, all these like bookshelves over here, there's whatever this thing is, seems like some sort of an invention, like a note thing over here, like to draw on or whatever, more bookshelves over here, some sort of Tesla coil thing over here, whatever this is down here, it looks maybe like just a table actually, but the point is this seems to be some sort of like invention room. So although Sokolov is, well, he is still alive because he works together with. Dude, I'm gonna say at the start that there's spoiler warnings for the first game in this, but if you're watching this, you've probably played the first game. Sokolov and Piero do work together at the end, but yeah, this seems to be like the Sokolov 2.0. This thing I want to talk on briefly, but actually I'm going to talk on it like more in detail later on. Wind power, we'll talk about that later. See, even the crates are the same as the first game. Which I'm fine with, by the way. Like, actually, I really like that because it, you know, the nostalgia, it makes it feel like it is a Dishonored game. This bit I want to talk about because we don't fully know if the game is completely open world, as in, hey, this is Karnaca, go do stuff, or not. Now, I think that the game is going to be more open than the previous game, because obviously Dishonored, it's not linear, but it's not open world, right? There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, and basically later on, they do talk about that. Well, later on, they do basically say, hey, there's different ways you can do each mission, so it's not open world. We know it isn't fully open world, but even, okay, I know I just said we don't know, but I was a bit of a slip there. So we know it's not fully open world, but this bit, it so interests me because it does this, it goes up this tree type thing, but as you can see in the background, they seem like a bit zoned out. Now, you may remember if you went on the rooftops of the previous games, you could sort of look over into the bits where you can't get to, and you can tell that it was a bit you couldn't get to. It seems to be a similar thing in this game. It's a bit like faded and in the background. Maybe this was a deliberate decision, so you know, hey, this is like whatever, but I don't know. I thought I'd point it out.
In crafting spaces for you to explore, we've got several creative goals. We want the environment to feel coherent and complete, plausible.
So this dude here and this dude here seems to be off-duty guards, but the other two seem like normal people, so, you know, maybe that leads you to believe that if it was normal people playing some poker with some guards, it could just be circumstantial in that that's how the poker thing worked out. You sort of play who you play against, right? Well, but it could be, you know, show that, hey, the guards and the people have a good relationship if they're playing poker together. And then coming onto this bit, you see these bird things. We don't know a ton about this yet. All we know is that there's a similar plague thing to the previous game. It could make Weepers. They haven't announced Weepers yet, so it probably won't make Weepers, but you never know. But basically, it's spread by these bit weird bird insect things which live in the bodies of dead people. Also, listen carefully to what he's saying right now.
Is there a viable pathway that makes sense? Where do they take their breaks or stop for lunch? But it goes further than that. For Dishonored 2, we felt compelled to ask ourselves about the history of a given street or shop. What was there a decade before the player?
So he's basically talking about the people of Karnaca, saying that they have lives, and they're not just these people wandering around. They have workplaces. They go to and from places. They'll be, you know, lunch. They'll have places where they go for their lunch. So it does seem to me that they're working really hard on their people. Now, this is going way back to the start when I said it seems like there's going to be more people around. This basically comes back to the point and backs it up a lot more. There are going to be a lot more people around, and they're going to have lives that matter. They're going to be doing stuff, and hopefully, as I mentioned earlier, hopefully you'll be able to interact with those and talk to those. So yeah, Dishonored 1, a lot less people around. When you do find people, they're all like poor and hiding in these buildings. Dishonored 2 is going to be the opposite of that. There'll be people in the streets, there'll be loads of them, they'll be hanging around, and that's awesome. Also, this is another one of the robot dudes, slightly different variation. You can see he's got like a rectangle on his head, which faces forward, as opposed to like a mask that comes down, but very similar. You can see he's got these arm blade things. This is the dude we actually saw in the E3 trailer last year. You know, they like spin around and they can do like attack you with the blades. yeah, you can see
the layers of history.
he's just like walking around scanning this building. Maybe this building's derelict, maybe it's in like an abandoned district and that's why they're there, or maybe it's later on in the game after they're looking for Corvo / Emily, who knows. But I don't know, I think it'd be interesting to see where they go with this, because up to this point it's showing all these happy people going about their lives, and now all of a sudden it's showing a robot walking around an empty building. So
Watermarks
yeah.
on the wall from past floods, peeling posters and advertisements from years ago.
So these guards wearing slightly different uniforms than the other guards. Still not like got any like shoulder pads or armor pads or anything, but slightly different armor, slightly like a little bit more decorated. So maybe they're a higher rank. Who knows?
We want every
Also,
peeling
one thing I forgot to
posters
talk about.
and
You can see this is like
advertisements
a
from years
railway
ago.
station. So as you can see, you've got the rail, then you've got the thing here. So this could be a big transport system around the city. It seems like they've turned the body transporters into body transporters. It seems like they've turned them into actual transport. Now, it seems that this is a stopped railway thing. This looks like a station up here, and they've come down, so they've maybe just come off this. So it will be interesting to see if this is, which I'm saying a lot here, if this is a system which we can use, if we can fast travel around the city on these, because obviously if it is going to be a little bit more open world, then maybe we could do with that sort of system, or maybe it's just a bit more of a way for guards to get around the city. We'll see where that goes.
We want every market, every alley to tell a story.
This is good.
And to offer you the chance
Whoa.
to see something novel or intriguing.
So we'll see a bit more of that later on in the actual gameplay. Guards can do parkour now. Now, once again, I don't know if that'll be a thing which every single guard will be able to do parkour. I don't know if there'll be guards who could like climb walls and stuff, where other guards can only like jump over railings or whatever. But it adds another level to the combat, especially when you can move around a bunch. It makes it a bit more interesting that they can move around, especially with the element of Dishonored 1, where you could get agility 2 and then just keep double jumping and drop assassinating, and you could take 5 people out and they wouldn't be able to touch you. Hopefully that changes it. This game does have double jump, which you'll see later on. So, but I thought it'd be interesting to mention, because parkour and guards, that actually adds like a whole other layer to the gameplay. I know a lot of people tend to go with a more stealthy approach, but it's going to make the kill everything approaches a lot more interesting, having this like extra layer of gameplay to it, fighting these parkour and guards. This seems to be some sort of abandoned like mansion or something.
Dishonored 2 starts and ends in Dunwall, but most of the action takes place here in Karnaca.
Okay, yeah, that's not really something worth talking about, but in case you did miss that, he said it's going to start in Dunwall, it's going to end in Dunwall, but most of the action takes place in Karnaca. So you're going to go over to Karnaca, and then you're going to come back to Dunwall. Basically what he said, just in case you missed that.
Alright, there you go, your first look at Dishonored 2.
So
Thank you.
that is Dishonored 2, that is the sort of the first intro type bit, and then he talks a bit more about the engine and stuff. So we're going to go into the gameplay now. There's a slight cutscene here that's about a minute long, and then it goes straight into the gameplay.
All hail Her Imperial Majesty, Emily Caldwell.
Loyal subjects, we're going through a difficult time, but today we honor my mother, the late Jessamine Caldwell. May her
So as the dude said, she is now the Empress. He said, all hail the Empress. She's become the Empress now, you know, obviously since her mum died. And, you know, she's the daughter. That makes sense, right? But I just thought I'd point it out.
memories survive through the ages.
Emily.
You look tired, Father.
This, by the way, is Corvo. And this is from the perspective of Emily. She just said, you look tired, Father. Yeah, that's a big one. So a lot of people suspected it in the previous game. Corvo is actually Emily's dad, and was the whole time. There you go, we know now. This is what Corvo looks like as well. Slightly different from the previous game, but looks fine. Now, what I wanted to point out is this thing in the background is a microphone. It's very similar to the one used by the dude, the announcer in the first game. So maybe they're announced from here. It seems a bit random that the announcements would be made from this hall. So maybe they're made in different places, but again, leads into my belief that the announcement system will be back.
Every year, I think the anniversary of Jessamine's death will be easier, but it never is.
I wish Mother was still the Empress. I don't think I'm very good at this.
You're still learning. Don't worry about the rabble-rousers, and we'll catch the Crown Killer eventually.
So, the Crown Killer, yeah, some names dropped there. Not too much about them, so I'm not going to sit here trying to talk too much, because I don't want to speculate. I want to talk about the sort of stuff that we know, or what I can see from, even though, okay, I've speculated quite a lot here, but yeah, so this leads me to believe that she hasn't been the Empress very long. He says, she's like, oh, I'm not very good at being an Empress. And he's like, oh, don't worry, you're still learning. And similarly, this is like, they're commemorating the Empress Jessamine. Now, Emily was only 11 in the first game. She's seems to be at least like 18 or 19 now, so it's got to be at least like 8 or so years. But yeah, I don't know, this bit leads me to believe that it hasn't been like that much longer. It has to have been a decent amount of time, right? She was only 11, and now she's going to be not only being the Empress, but also, you know, going around the city, killing people, doing parkour and shit, so she's got to at least be a decent age, but I don't think she's like 25 or anything. I believe she's more like sort of 19, 20, that sort of age.
People are saying it's you, that these assassinations are a misguided effort to protect me.
No.
That dude's pretty interesting. He has like he's maybe like a cleric type thing, because he has his little ball or whatever. But this painting, by the way, was in the first game as well.
Someone's trying to make us look
So a little callback to the first game.
guilty by targeting your enemies.
I wish I could just run away from all this.
I don't know what this is. I'm assuming it's just like a little memorial plaque or something. But yeah,
You think I don't know about your nights out?
the lights from the first game. There you go. He also says, "You think I don't know about your nights out on the roof and stuff?" Let me play this.
Tops, courage. The ceremony will be over soon.
Yeah. So she's already going on the roof. Now I don't know if at this point she already has the power, because that could basically mean two things. Either she has the power. This is essentially the intro cutscene, or at least the start of the game, because this is where they mentioned in an interview, and I spoke about this in a previous video, that you will get to choose between Emily or Corvo at the start of the game, and then you stick with them for the whole game. So you play through Emily, and then you'll play through a different playthrough as, you know, Corvo. So you choose who you play as, and that happens like in about 30 seconds from now. So yeah, it's basically like, at this point, she already has her powers, I think, because he says he's seen it up on the roof. Maybe she just does parkour and stuff though, so she doesn't have her powers yet. I don't really know, but yeah, we need to know more about the relationship between Emily and Corvo. We need to know more about when does she get her powers. You know, he's the only one that really knows about the powers, Corvo, because, you know, it's never really, he doesn't really talk to other people about it. And in the first game, whenever, like, if you blink in front of someone, like, if you blink in front of Sam, he's always like, oh, Corvo, what the fuck was that? Or he'll be like, oh my, or something like that. So, you know, they never really talk too much about that, so I would like to know more about that, if the powers are out there, if that means that the whole world knows about the powers or not. But yeah, obviously people know about the Outsiders because there's shrines and people, like, you know, pray to him and stuff, and so everyone knows about the Outsider, but I don't know if everyone knows about the powers.
Royal Protector and Father. I should have passed a law against that combination of titles years ago.
So, yeah, just a couple seconds ago he said the ceremony will be over soon, and then she goes on to say, I should have passed a law about that combination of titles being illegal years ago. So, that implies she's been the Empress for a few years, which is what I've already said. You know, if she's about 18, she'll have been it since she was 11, so she'll have been it for a long time. But I don't know what this ceremony is, if she's only just officially becoming the full Empress, or if this is like something like, you know, a yearly commemoration for the mum or something. It could just as easily be that, I don't know, but she has been for at least a few years. We know that much. We don't know specifically how long, but we can at least say that she has been Empress for a few years safely.
When an otherworldly usurper seizes the throne, the fate of the Empire is left hanging in the balance. Dishonored 2 offers you the choice of playing as Empress Emily Kaldwin or the Royal Protector Corvo Attano. Emily and Corvo are both...
So, another worldly dude tries to take over the throne. Now, I'm assuming that in the game something happens there. You can see a dead body here. You can see guards of Sykonos in the background, or Karnica. You can see them surrounding them. Obviously, these guys are surrounded, and now, as he said, this is the point where you choose who you want to play as. As I mentioned before in an interview, they say you play a bit of the game switching between them, or, you know, well, they didn't really say specifically, but you play a bit of the game and then you choose. So I'm assuming that that bit is the tutorial, similar to how in the first game you get the tutorial, like, as the assassins show up to kill Jessamine, you fight them off, and that sort of acts as a tutorial. You know, you get your pop-ups, and then, like, it doesn't let you die and stuff. Fun fact, if you stand still and let them hit you over and over again, your health will get really low, and then they just despawn, so you can't actually die in that tutorial. Hopefully it's the same in this, because that was funny, but, yeah, so I'm assuming something actually happens there, like a little bit of gameplay, but it was cut out for demonstration purposes. But, yeah, this is where you pick. So at this point, you get to pick between Corvo, and you get to pick between Emily, and I did make a another video talking a bit more in depth about the differences between the two characters. So if you're interested in that, it'll be linked in the description.
Fully voiced this time, with their own perspectives and emotional responses to the events transpiring around them.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to add to that. They're both voiced, they both have different opinions on stuff. Yeah.
Whether you choose to play, whoever you choose to play, you've got to flee Dawn while you're home.
Now, this is what interests me in that, does that mean if you pick Emily, does Corvo get murdered? If you pick Corvo, does Emily get murdered? Or do they sort of, you know, collude or collaborate in some way? Or are they both still in the game? Because if you can only play as one, how does the other one come into it? Especially since they have different opinions on stuff. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this.
And travel to Karnaca in order to unravel the threads of a conspiracy.
Yep, she's on the rooftops. Not much more to say about this other than rooftop parkour. Hell yeah.
And take back what's yours.
Oh, also, something I want to
In
know.
order to unravel the threads of a conspiracy.
Goddamn heavy falls are back. So here are these railway systems again. This is still in Dunwall, by the way. This is not Karnaca right now, so just note that.
Anyway, I should talk to the captain of that ship.
So it seems to me like they're focusing a lot more on parkour in this. There's still blink and all those sort of things. There's still double jump, so obviously it was a thing in the previous game, but it seems like they're focusing a lot more on making actual parkour a thing. You saw her running around the rooftops before. You saw her jump over that little barrier thing. There was this thing. There's an animation for jumping over that. It looks like the coil jump from from Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Anyway, I should talk to the captain of that ship.
Yeah, there's parkour. Somehow she ends up on here, she's running along this pipe, so parkour is a thing in this game.
Dishonored is known for unscripted simulation driven many and a much greater emphasis on big interesting themes for you the Dust District and industrial.
Okay, I was just trying to remember what he said there, if there was anything worth noting. Yeah, this is the Dust District. This has random like sandstorms, so that's something to note. Another thing I want to note, well, there's a couple things to note about this bit. Look at this shit down here. X, skip. You can skip the goddamn boat scenes, dude. Holy shit. As a speedrunner of Dishonored 1, half of the goddamn game is boats. There's like 11 minutes of boat cutscenes or something like that. I cannot thank Arcane enough for adding a skip button in on the goddamn boats, on the goddamn boat scenes. That's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah, the boat, it looks more advanced than the previous boat. The previous boat in the first game was a fucking like a leather, and that was it, with like some weird block thing on the back of it, which wasn't very well rendered. Oh shit! Did I fuck the capture up there? No, it was like that, right? It was like this. There we go. I accidentally scrolled. My bad. Yeah, the boat. So again, technology, slightly nicer boat, whatever. This guy, we have no idea who this guy is. This leads me to believe that this means that Emily, she's not like, oh shit, I've got to go do all this stuff, and then she's by herself. If she has this boatman, maybe she just has a boatman, which would be random, but if there's a boatman, it leads me to believe that maybe there's an organisation on her side, similar to the Loyalists at the Hound's Pit pub. So maybe she has teammates, friendly people to help her out, some sort of safe base in the middle, or maybe it's just this random dude who's like a one-off, I don't know. But also, this leads me back to my earlier point where I said it's not going to be open world. If they have the boat cutscenes at the start of the mission, which was like an iconic part of the first game, well, iconic, quote-unquote, part of the first game, it was a big part of the first game. If they have these back in the second game, that implies that missions start, you go to the boat, you do the cutscene, and then you're at the start of the mission, and then you leave the mission by the boat as well. So, you know, that would heavily imply it's not going to be open world if they still have the boat transport in there. Unless it's like a fast travel type thing to go from one area to another, who knows.
The leaders of both factions are trying to take each other down. You can side with the Overseers or the Howlers, or neither. There are many ways to complete the mission.
So, exactly as he said there, Overseers versus Howlers, you can side with either one. Not much more to say on that, definitely worth noting though. UI, very similar to the previous game. You got your journal here with mission clues, obviously the previous game had that as well. Just waiting for him to move on there. The other dude was talking, very similar to Sam. Wait, hold on, rewind. I just had the sudden realization that this guy is like very similar to Sam, but actually he may actually straight up just be Sam, which is fucking awesome if that's the case. Mana up here, health up here. The usual. Seems in the previous game the mana and the health were the same length. This one, the health seems a decent amount bigger than the mana. I don't know. The mana wraps around a bit more. To be fair, this is a bit where you'll see later on where he has like a whole bunch of the powers unlocked, which I do want to talk about as well. But maybe these have like been upgraded at this point. The mana's like upgraded, or the health's upgraded. I don't know, but something to note.
Everything you see here is rendered in the Void engine, designed to create atmospheric and exploration-rich spaces.
So
Designed to
these things have got an outline. Suggests that you can do something with them. In the previous game, the stuff you could pick up, like the feathers and that, if you looked at them, they had like the little golden outline, but it was a lot less obvious than that. That's a very bright white outline. I don't know if that means anything specifically, or if everything's going to be like that, which I really hope not. But I did want to point this out, because obviously this is the start of a mission. This looks like some sort of workbench. Now, maybe my thinking is that Sam is helping out, or whoever that is. I'm going to start calling him Sam from here on out now that I've had that epiphany, but maybe you don't have people. In the previous game, you had Piero to do all your upgrades for you. If this is a workbench, maybe you don't actually have, you know, someone to do that for you anymore, and maybe this is a new thing that they've added into the game, is this workbench type thing, which means, you know, you could use it to upgrade your weapons, your guns, your sword, whatever. I wanted to point it out. I watched a couple of other breakdowns and no one pointed that out. So I wanted to point out maybe it was it could be nothing, right? It could just be there. But the fact that it is an obvious workbench, and the fact that it's right at the start of the mission, maybe there is going to be some sort of crafting or upgrade type system in the game.
create atmospheric and exploration.
Especially since he turned and looked at it like that as well. There's not really too much to say here. These things, those are the rails, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm pretty sure these are the rails, either that or massive water slides. Something along those lines, so the fact that there's like 1, 2, 3, and then this one coming up here. This is like, I'm assuming there's going to be like a big transport type thing. It really just comes down to whether or not you can use it. Because if you can't use it, then it's just like a visual element, right? It's just part of the world. And that's fine, because it helps, you know, craft the world and stuff. If you can use it, though, that's going to change everything, because it's a big thing. So I believe the game's going to be sort of pseudo-open world, in that there'll be a lot of different areas. That bit all looks really open and explorable, but I don't think the entire of Karnica is going to be explorable. I believe there's going to be like a few different places all over Karnica which you can travel between. So that's what I think it's going to be like. I think it's going to be pseudo-open world, and there'll be different places you can travel between. Each individual place will be open, but it'll be like not hugely massive, and then you'll be able to travel between them, be that by boat or by the transport system. That would be my current guess. That would be how I'd be happy with that, but we'll see how that goes. Also, this is the wall of light in the background here. The dude just mentions it needs to be taken out. Spyglass is back. As you can see, it says press X to change the zoom level. Now, whether that's a default or not, in the previous game, you needed to upgrade that to get it. So it'll be interesting to see if we get that by default, or if you still need to get it. Also, if Emily has a mask as well. So that was Blink. You saw Blink. I'm going to talk a bit more about Blink later on, because there's a better shot of it later on. But she did just do a Blink, so... See, Blink's like a signature.
Much greater use of vertical space for Dishonored 2, encouraging players to explore the rooftops above the streets.
Yeah, even though Emily and Corvo have very different movesets, as I mentioned in a previous video, which I've already linked and stuff, even though they have very different movesets, Blink's a signature. You've got to have Blink, right? Also, he just mentioned vertical space. Something I mentioned like ages ago is the vertical space. Yeah, that seems to be true then. They are, like, it was a thing in the previous games. You could go on the rooftops. It just wasn't an obvious and easy thing to do. It seems like they're encouraging that a lot more in this one. In Sokolov maybe, but in Dunmore a lot of people didn't tend to go on the rooftops that much. This seems like something which is not just like, oh, this is an extra thing you can do. It seems like they're actively encouraging this now as well, which is fucking awesome. This thing in the background looks like a rewire tool to me. just thought I'd point it out in case you didn't notice it, because they were a thing in the previous games. If you didn't know, you basically put them on, so say like the power supply for a light wall, and then if the enemies walk through the wall of light, it'd kill them. It's a rewire tool, that's what it looks like to me anyway, so that's pretty cool. Leaning's back in the game. there's a lot of small things which I wanted to know like that, is leaning back in the game. Copper wire over there.
Dust from the mines.
Okay, this is the dust storm we mentioned. As you can see, visibility is going to be way lower now, which is going to be great that the AI actually takes this into consideration. Because I'm assuming if the dust storm's around, it's like a better way for, you know, visibility and stuff. It makes you harder to see. Also, you'll have seen very briefly there, he got the chance to lethal kill or to choke out. As you can see, kill straight up, choke out. Again, just another thing to note, very, you know, very simple basic thing, but it is back in the game, killing people, choking them out, just as it was in the previous game. Which suggests that lethal and non-lethal is still very much an option, which is awesome.
Alters visibility for the AI and for the player. A random storm hits and Emily comments on it. Many of the security devices in Dishonored 2 are powered by wind, a unique feature of Karnaca, so here we're switching off the windmill to get through the wall of light. There'll be a lot going on in this next fight. Drop attack, guards climbing and vaulting, combat choke, and Emily using far reach to pull an explosive whale oil tank toward her from a distance.
Okay, so just before this guy's life ends, yeah, as he said, the storms are random. Now, that, I sort of think that one was maybe not random for demonstration purposes, but he said they're random. I believe him that the storms will be random in the game. I'm assuming not completely fully random, so you don't just get them back to back to back, or you don't just get non-all mission. I'm assuming there's some sort of algorithm for it, but yeah, these random storms affect your vision, affect the AI's vision, good shit. I also want to talk a bit about the wind power. He said it affects a lot of the security guard things. As you'll see in a minute, there's also whale oil in this game, so I don't know if they're trying to cut down on the whale oil, or because it's cruel or whatever, or if the whales are starting to die out. Maybe that's why they've changed, but they are trying to use wind, but they're still using a bit of whale oil, so it's something worth noting. Maybe they're just less violent and they don't want to kill the whales anymore, or maybe the whales are dying out, or maybe Dunwall's taking it all. Who knows, but worth noting. Drop attack, parkour, some sort of lunge type thing. He gets kicked over the edge, which is awesome. So here is far reach. Far reach is, I don't know what the fuck that rainbow like lens flare shit was. I hope that is turned offable because it was fucking stupid. But yeah, far reach. Okay, I exaggerated a bit there, but I really didn't like it. Yeah, you can see she pulled the whale oil tank out of the container and then she turns and throws it at him. You see far reach a bit more later actually. Also, if you've not been looking already, the mana, like, it goes down and then goes back up. I'm assuming the mana system's the same as in the last game because it's really unique in that if you use a mana attack and then wait, you get the mana back, but if you use like 2 in the same row, then the mana drops down and then you have to use a pot and stuff. Hopefully it's the same. But yeah, worth noting. Also, the wood fell. I know it was just a bit of wood, and I know there were bits in the first game where there was wood which broke in that exact same way. Maybe there is a little bit of terrain deformation, but it could just be there's wood. I wanted to point it out so we can think about it, but as I mentioned, the previous game did have planks of wood, and if you slid into a plank of wood, it would break. It was just there, so it may mean absolutely nothing, but it could mean that. Also, I believe that gun's upgraded because she shot 3 times really quickly and then she reloaded it really quickly, so I'm assuming that's been upgraded. Also, his mask like blocked the hit there. No, it didn't. It just looked like that from the angle. Okay, never mind. This bit's funny. He tries to dude, just. You hear some of the crowd laughing as well.
Closer to our target, Vice Overseer Byrne. The Overseers are fighting the Howler Gang. Our target, Vice Overseer Byrne.
Did the guy just burp?
Alright, let's jump forward. Closer to our target, Vice Overseer Byrne. The Overseers are fighting the Howler
Sorry, I
Gang
just
for the
didn't
hearts
notice
and
that. Sorry, he
minds
just
of the
burped. But yeah, I love they like go to throw him over the cliff. He just falls on his face. That has happened in the first game to me a few times. it's good to see that that's back. It's not. It's just funny though. He throws him, he doesn't go, and then they shoot him. This is all pre-recorded as well. This isn't like live stuff. Well, as you see, it just jump cut forward, and he was talking about what was going to happen in the combat before the combat happened. So we know this was pre-recorded. I love the fact that they went to throw him and then like they kept that in. And I actually think that's really funny. That's like a really arcane thing to do as well. I really like that.
Of Karnaka. What happens here will influence Karnaka's future and the end games.
So he just said what happens here will influence Karnaka's future and the end games. That's what he said. So different endings, multiple endings, just like the last game. Yeah, multiple endings, that's awesome. And different, what you do in the game influences the end. Also note the mana's half down now, like actually diminished. So again, like I mentioned earlier, like when he cut, you obviously skipped out a fair bit, because when he cut he had full mana and now it's only half. So yeah, mana, I'm 99% sure it's going to be the exact same way it was in the previous game. Also the crossbow things looks interesting. What you'll have seen there, if you watch the crosshair, he leans around the corner, the crosshair's on his leg, and then he jumps up. That's just auto assist. That's the thing for consoles, because he is playing on a Xbox, I believe. But he's playing on an Xbox controller, or he's at least playing with a controller. Auto aim. It's a thing that's back. This white outline thing, I don't like it, dude.
Here we're gonna use Emily's mesmerize power to lower.
So we'll talk about this. Right. This is the interface. A lot of it's very similar. Incendiary darts. You can see health potions up here, mana potions over here. You've got the same the same what do you call it, like hotkey type thing, I guess you call it. Obviously in PC you just use a number key, so you don't really have this. But you got the D-pad on the console. The UI is very, very similar to the first game, and it's fucking awesome how similar to how just everything is to the first game. So yeah, health potions, mana potions, the favourites, I guess you could say. Now over here, we don't know what a lot of this is. You'll see some more of it later on, but you don't see all of it. Crossbow darts. This could be sleep darts, but these lines look like sound lines. I'm thinking maybe this is some sort of decoy type thing. Maybe you throw it down, or like you shoot it over in a corner, and then the enemies will like run towards it. That's what it looks like to me with like the lines. It could just be the sleep dart symbol now, but the sleep dart could also be this. This could also be like an explosive bullet. So this one and this one, I don't know what they are, but that's what it makes me think of, like some sort of decoy or distractor. This looks like I said, some sort of explosive bullet, because it looks like a bullet, but like with fire coming off it. Maybe it's like some sort of wall penetrating bullet. If you have, like, this could be dark vision, or this could be dark vision, and then this could be like, you could see someone through a wall and then shoot them through the wall with it. Who knows? Because obviously this is incendiary bullets, so maybe this being explosive wouldn't make as much sense, unless it was like an actual rocket type thing. But yeah, so that could be anything. Maybe it is a penetrative bullet actually, but it could be a rocket, who knows. The heart to show you the collectibles and stuff, like the runes and the bone charms. Hopefully that still talks to you as well. If you got the heart out in the previous game and you clicked, it said something to you about the place. So it gave you a little bit of a background on lore, especially since earlier on the dude actually mentioned that, like, oh, we want you to know about like the shop and what it was like. You come across a shop, what was it like 10 years ago? Hopefully the heart can tell you stuff like that. Give you a little tour. The heart was really good in the previous game. A lot of people didn't realise that it spoke, but yeah, it does. So hopefully it does that in this game as well. Grenades over here. This is Blink. One of these is Shadow. I believe this is Far Reach. This is Shadow Crawl, and this is Mesmerize, I believe. So she doesn't seem to have anything like dark vision, but yeah, that was Mesmerize.
A group of overseers into a stupor, evading combat altogether. Mesmerized, they won't notice Emily or even remember that she was here.
So yeah, I mean, he just said exactly what that was. It just, I mean, you can see exactly what it was, that it puts them into this trance so they can't see her and stuff. I just want to know, if you look off to the left here, there's obviously a path to go. There's people there. There's an alley leading off. It looks like you can go up on the balconies. There seems to be some sort of path off to the right over there, but he chooses to go in here. So right off the bat, there are 3 different paths there, which he talks about now, actually.
Far Reach can be upgraded not only to pull.
Oh, he talks about Far Reach first. He talks about it in a second. Also, you'll note that he actually double jumped there. Now, I don't know if that's like a separate thing if you just buy double jump, or if it's going to be like in the previous game. In the previous game, it was agility 1 gave you double jump, and then agility 2 gave you increased speed. So hopefully agility is the same with double jump and stuff, but yeah.
But also enemies, so you can finish them off in midair.
There you go, very obvious double jump. It'll be interesting to see as well if they add in some sort of like more passive abilities as opposed to just the active ones, like obviously like agility. Also the one where you kill the people and the bodies disappear. Bloodthirsty as well, I'd like to see that make a return, but those are like Corvo abilities. So I look forward to seeing what, like we see a few other active abilities here, I look forward to seeing what Emily's passive abilities are like. But it is good that she has double jump as well. He gets fucked.
This time, all of Emily's powers, which are new, and all of...
So, coins are back. I mentioned earlier the possibility of shops. You can see coins here. There's definitely going to be shops in the game. Now, previously, you could buy stuff at the Hound Pits as well as from... oh, shit, what's the dude in the distillery district for that sells his shit? There were people you could basically sell stuff to, or buy stuff from, right? Not sell stuff to. Buy stuff from, so... I mean, it'd be dumb for them to get rid of that. It's good to see that it's back, that they do have money. But as I mentioned earlier, if they don't have like a home base, if you do like your own upgrades and your own crafting, because Piero upgraded your equipment and you paid him to upgrade it, right? But if you upgrade your own equipment, I don't know how it's going to work unless you find like blueprints and stuff for it, and then then it's free because you're not going to pay yourself. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm assuming it is just more of the old, you know, buy pots and buy like bullets and stuff, but yeah, money's back.
Which are new, and all of Corvo's can be fully upgraded using entirely new skill trees, giving you the ability to customize more deeply.
Yep, new skill trees. So yeah, like I just said, passive abilities, there's more of those.
Dishonored series, it's all about options and exploration, playing at your own pace. The game has many different pathways through each mission, and also different approaches, stealth or combat, lethal or non-lethal, and a wide array of supernatural powers that will dramatically change the experience as you play. We're very close to Vice Overseer Burns' office now.
So you'll see there, if you go back a second, in the previous game, how God's Being Alert worked is you'd get the one bar of alert, and then you get the second one, and then you get the third one, and then on the fourth one they notice you. So it's like, it's been a while and I don't fully remember. It's like the first one they assume it's like the wind or something, and then the second one they'll look around a little bit and then they'll give up, and then the third level is like they know you're there, so they won't stop looking until they find you, and then the fourth level is when they found you. So it goes like they very briefly check and then assume there's nothing there, to level 2 where they will look around a little bit and see if they can find you, and then we'll give up. Level 3 they won't stop looking until they found you because they know you're there. In this one, it seems slightly different in that if we go around, and you'll see this very shortly, if you look above his head here, the bar seems to go like up a little bit. So it goes like up and then stops as it goes around the corner. Maybe it still goes in stages, maybe it goes up and then like this is stage 1, and then this is stage 2, and then up here is stage 3. So it could still be the 3-stage thing, or it could be like a gradual, like a more, I guess, more realistic, like fluid type thing. Who knows? But it could just be an AI change. It could be done exactly the same way, or it could be a bit more fluid. So all of our crosshairs are the same as well. It's pretty badass.
Or non-lethal, and a wide array of supernatural powers that will dramatically change the experience.
Yeah. So as he's talking about, NLG is an option, kill with an option, lethal or non-lethal, stealth, whatever. It's up to you. Keyhole peek. You might have briefly seen there. You can peek through keyholes again, which is fair. I'm really not a huge fan of the fact that like the bullets there and the pickpocket stuff, they have this thick white outline on them. Not a huge fan of that. Like, look how stupid that looks on their backs, dude.
Burn is giving a briefing using a projector. We're going to plant a stun mine and then link several of the overseers with Emily's domino power, so that whatever happens to one of them will happen to all of them. They share the same fate.
And so here what you see, he's picked up a stun mine at some point in the mission. This wasn't here before when we were looking around. That's a stun mine. There you go. As he said, stuns your enemies. So that doesn't kill them then. That stuns them and knocks them out, right? As far as I know. That's what it leads you to believe anyway, so it's cool to see that, because in the previous games you get all these gadgets, you get like the spring grazer and all that, where it's like, oh, the spring grazer, that's fucking awesome, but if you're doing a non-lethal you can't use it. It's good to see that they're adding more gadgets in, or at least like a different version of the spring grazer, like an opposite to it, to add more more that you can do with the stealth, because in the previous game it was more just like use your powers and choke people out. It's good to see they are adding more in to make stealth, you know, a bit more diverse and just adding more to the stealth side of it.
So that whatever happens to several of the overseers.
So I love that he pulls his thing open. His stun mine's already favorited, but then he pulls it open in the wheel anyway.
So that whatever happens to one of them will happen to all of them.
Actually, I'm curious. I didn't notice this.
Power.
Shit.
To stun mine and then link several of the overseers with Emily's domino.
It says far reach. Pull yourself rapidly across the distance. So far reach, I guess it's the new blink, right? But the reason why I wanted to point this out here is because you see she does it in a second. So we just saw her use far reach. She pulled a whale oil tank out of a wall and then threw it. She also pulled a guard at herself and then stabbed him. But now in just a second here, she's going to use it to blink.
So that whatever happens to one of them will happen to all of them. They share the same fate.
So domino, as you just said, whatever happens to one of them happens to all of them. Also, that used
Same fate.
no mana. That used no mana. Interesting. Okay. Oh, you just have to link it. Okay.
Switching off the projector will attract Vice Overseer Burns' attention.
So it does seem like there's a similar way in that, say, some use more mana than others. So Blink obviously used one set of mana, so you could wait for it to recharge, and you could keep blinking forever, and you'd never run out of mana as long as you waited. But things like this one seems to use two sets of mana, so you know you're gonna have to use a potion eventually.
And when the mine affects one overseer,
as you can see, it doesn't fully recover from that. So far reach, yeah. As you can see, she just blinks with it.
And when the mine affects one overseer, it will affect all of them.
She aims up, she pulls herself up. So far reach essentially seems like more than just blink. It's blink in that you can use it as a short range teleport. This is a bit of an epiphany. I didn't realise that they were different things. I thought she had blink and far reach. Far reach, I didn't realise it pulls herself across. So, because the thing about blink is you don't disappear and reappear. It does actually, like, you move through the air. If you get like blink 2 plus void, oh shit, what's that bone channel called? Void channel, I think it's called, where it increases your blink distance as well. Like, you can quite clearly see, or actually on console you can see it really obviously on like Xbox and PS3, that you don't teleport, you do move through the air quickly. Or you don't even move quickly on console, but you know. Yeah, so this one, it's very similar in that it pulls you, but it is interesting that it seems like a multi-use power, in that you can use it to either as a blink to pull yourself across, or as a way to pull things to you. So it's sort of like an arm, it pulls you around. Now I'd like to know if with blink, if you're moving along, it's even though you're moving, it acts like a teleport. As long as you're blinking, people can't see you. So we use that a lot in the NLG speedrun. But I'm wondering if this is like they're actually saying, hey, this actually does pull you along. I'm wondering if you blink like across someone, will they still see you? Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's pretty interesting. These guys get stunned. He also then uses Shadow Walk to kill the Overseer, which interests me because I know it's for demonstration and he's just showing it off, but I love how he
there are many creative ways to use domino.
Kills those guys non-lethally and then murders this guy straight up. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, so Shadow Walk, I don't know how it's timed. I don't know how long it lasts, or if it's infinite until you turn it off. But Shadow Walk, well, I'll let him talk for a second. Shadow Walk is useful for stealth and combat, so it took him, like, if he just ran up to him there, the dude would have turned around quicker, or at least that's how the AI worked in the first game. But as you can see, like, it took him a second to turn around, so yeah, but you can still kill people with it, which is fucking awesome.
Announced trailer that we made for the game, and you can fully use it in the game.
But if you turn into this, like, shadow thing, I'm wondering how they hurt you, which is weird, but
with Vice Overseer Byrne out of the picture,
there's a lot of stuff we'll find out later on.
Will owe Emily a favor, and that's just one way to complete the Dust District mission.
So there you go, as he said, now that the device is out of the way, the Overseers, no, the Howler Gangs now owe him a favour, so hopefully you can turn that in later. Similar to the Distillery District, where you are like, oh shit, I don't want to kill the Pendletons, can you do it? And then Slackjaw's like, oh, get the combination for the artist safe for me, so you do that, and he's like, sure, I'll kill him. You know, tit for tat, favour for favour, eye for eye, whatever you want to call it, even though those three things are different things, none of them are relevant, but you know, yeah, you work together, you do what you want. Leads me to believe that then you could do that a different way, where you could actually maybe go against the Howler Gang, and then maybe in that way the Overseers would like you a bit more, who knows, let's see. But he did say, hey, what happens here affects the ending of the game, so yeah.
It's another example of the missions in Dishonored 2 and how they're built around big, interesting themes. This mission takes place in a ruined manor that's been sealed for several years. At the start...
This is pretty interesting, so we'll hold off on a second for this one. Yeah, I don't know, I just want to talk about more of the endings, because the ending in the previous game, you got your high chaos, your low chaos, and your normal one. Even though the low chaos and the normal one were really similar, you either, you know, fight Havelock and then open Emily's door, or you go to the end and get to the top where Havelock's got a gun to Emily. In low chaos, Havelock has killed Pendleton and Martin with poison. In high chaos, Martin and Pendleton are fighting each other out or down below, and then Havelock's upstairs with Emily. So there were different endings, but the end of the day is you were saving Emily, and that was the point. With this one, it seems like there were much more split down the middle endings. It seemed like there's going to be Howler Gang versus Overseer, and it depends on where you go with that. And then there's your own, you know, goals and skills as well. Because obviously you're trying to fight this, like, this outsider type force who's trying to throw you off the throne. So it feels like the main goal is to try and, you know, get rid of this dude who's killing your enemies and, you know, get the throne back. But you've got to split that with also dealing with the Overseers and the Howler Gangs as well. So it seems like the ending, it won't just be like a one thing what could go either way. It seems like it'll be very different endings depending on how you play the game.
The outsider appears and explains that reality was warped inside this place after an occult event. Your supernatural powers won't work inside the manor, and even time behaves strangely, allowing you to travel back and forth between the ruined present and the past, when the manor was lavish and refined.
So I'm wondering if... So you got the timepiece up here, and we'll see more about that in a second. He said that your powers don't work here, you can jump between time. You'll see more about that in a second. I'm wondering if this is a one-off for this mission, or if this is going to be more relevant to the story. So I'll let this play out, and I'll talk on what I see. This is all new shit, so I don't have a ton to say about stuff here.
Here we're in the present, when the manor's in ruins.
So you pull this thing out, you can see the past through it. And in a second, he'll actually jump through time. So as you can see, this thing's locked up. Jumps through time.
Backwards, years into the past, when the manor was still inhabited and guarded.
Tropical Christmas tree, Kappa.
Looking through the lenses of the outsider's timepiece, you can see the alternate timeline. This is useful for solving puzzles, as you've seen, but it can also be used to avoid or take down enemies. You can watch enemies in the alternate timeline, and then step through to execute your plans.
Yeah, so this adds a bit more of a puzzle aspect to it. As he said before, you've got a pretty simple puzzle aspect of, oh, the door's locked, but it isn't in one timeline. Just step through, walk through it, and then go back. But this adds an interesting gameplay element. It completely strips it down and gets rid of your powers, but it adds this timepiece, which is really interesting. Like I said, I would really like to know if this is a one-off for this mission, how they're going to fit it into the story, because it'd be a bit random if they just threw it in, or if it's going to have, like, you know, last a bit longer and have an effect on the game. We'll see how that goes. Because the thing about time is it can't just be a gimmick, right? This has an effect on, like, stuff, so I really hope that they don't just throw this in. This has to have an effect on the storyline, because if you go through this mansion and kill everyone in the mansion, then now in the future this is going to be an event that happened. Everyone in that mansion died, so, you know, it's got to mean something is what I'm hoping for at the very least.
Peggy 18.
And now we get the trailer, which I'll show because there's probably stuff in there. I have watched it, but I don't feel like there was that much to add, but I may as well show it. You've got the old railway there, Corvo and Emily, we saw at the start. So yeah, this is a lot of stuff that we actually saw already, just like in an actual trailer form. So there is a whale, which is interesting. As I mentioned earlier, we don't see them at any point in the gameplay bit, but we do see them in the trailer, which is interesting. There was a massive wind turbine there. Something to note. So that bit I did want to talk about, actually. Let's just get rid of her, because I want to talk about her for a second too. I mentioned, as you can see, the Howlers are wanted. I believe that this guy is a Howler. Obviously this guy is an overseer, working with the guards and stuff. This guy, I think he's a Howler gang, and the reason why I say this is because You see in the background, it's got the wanted howlers, but also, like I said, the people of Karnica, now maybe they do and we just don't know yet, because we may see this later on as we start to actually get the game, but as far as we know so far, the people of Karnica don't actually hate the guards. They're not against them, they don't revolt against them, they just live in harmony with them. They're really happy with their lives, they just go about their business, and they feel safe enough to not wear armor. So there isn't much violence in the city of Karnica, and yet here we see an overseer shooting someone in the back. I'm assuming this is a Howler Gang member. I thought I'd talk about it, because why not? This one I wanted to talk about because this is Corvo, and this is the big hall. The robot's in here, something worth noting. Also, this looks like Delilah. If anyone played the Brigmore Witches DLC, it looks a lot like Delilah. So, who fucking knows, right? See, a lot happens very quickly in the trailer, and there was a lot of it, like, I sort of wanted to talk about this bit. Because you see, if you look in the background, you see the, if you're looking about here, you see the, obviously you see Corvo stab one of the Dunwall dudes, and you see the robot thing in the background stab them. So, this is interesting, because Corvo is the royal protector of the Empress of Dunwall, and then it's Karnica, and you see, as we saw way back at the start of the trailer, it's Karnica that actually, it's the Karnica guards that come forward and take Emily / Corvo and like arrest them, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. So it's interesting that we here see Corvo killing a Dunwall guard. Why is that? Why, when they're the leaders of Dunwall, why are they killing the Dunwall people? I guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens in that cutscene that gets cut out, but yeah. Delilah pulls a sword out of herself, whatever. Dead woman. This looks like Emily's arm. This looks like a dead woman. I don't know. I saw this and it looks like it's from the perspective of like, if it's a cutscene and it's from your perspective, you're the player, right? It looks like Emily's arm. That is definitely not Corvo's arm. She looks upset about this woman's death. Maybe this is a woman who is actually part of the story. Maybe we see her in the intro. Maybe it's just a random woman and she's like, oh shit, my people are dying. I don't know, but I thought I'd stop. This also, this could be a very short. But if we watch, slow-mo, time speeds up and he's dead. Ben time, hopefully back. I love that shit. Yeah, Ben time. So, a fair few of the people he killed there look like normal people. Just something to note. Maybe they're infected, or maybe it's just like, hey, if you want to kill everything, then... Because, you know, you could kill the normal people in the first game, so maybe that's just what that is. Now, this area, it looks like a really weird, barren area in the Outsider's Dream. Now, we know we're facing some sort of supernatural being. Maybe this is another aspect. Maybe it's similar like the timepiece thing, where it's like also a different dimension you can go into. It looks really fucking horrible, though, let me say that much. Railway thing again. Leader of the Vox Populi. This shit as well. There isn't really anything to say about this, but this is the inventor dude, and that we saw in the trailer. He's making stairs appear. I look forward to fighting him and going to the Clockwork Mansion, because there are some badass looking inventions in there. An overseer. A ring could mean something. Looks like Emily's hand. She puts it on her finger. Note that there is no outsider mark. Note that this is the hall as well. This is the hall that they've just been in. People come in. A bunch of people are dead. There's a dead person down here, dead person here. Few people up here. So, leads me to believe she goes into the hall at that point where she's talking to Corvo. She doesn't have any powers. At that point where Corvo says, I've seen you on the rooftops. She doesn't have any powers. So, and yet she puts this ring on. No outsider mark. Maybe the ring is a source of power. Reverse shot of the shot we saw earlier. Shadow Walk, again we saw this in the gameplay. Don't know who that is on the wanted poster in the background. I was gonna sort of try and say something about it, or be like, oh, it's this guy, but I actually just straight up don't know who that is, so I'm assuming it's just like, oh, something that's in the game that we don't really need to worry about. This is interesting. Throws a body on the desk and the dude's like, oh, that's a body. Which is... Maybe... My thinking was maybe does that mean that there's like bounties in the game and you can get money for killing bonus people? Sort of like side quests. Because he's not like, oh, fuck, that's a dead person. He's just like, that is a dead person. So, I don't know, maybe bounties are a thing, because you are an assassin at the end of the day. Far Reach. My problem with Far Reach is that, you know, I quite like if you come up behind a guard, so you don't have to walk over them, you can blink up right behind them and then stab them. But if you've got Far Reach, then you can't blink up behind them because it's just going to pull them towards you. So, a lot of people have been drawing comparisons between the robot dudes and tall boys. The most effective way of taking down a tall boy in the previous game was double jumping and getting or trying to get like a bit up and then getting the drop attack on them. Because you land on the head, you put the sword in the throat, and then they're dead straight away like that. As you can see, she does a drop attack on the robot thing, and it carries on fighting her. So, the robot things, I already thought they'd be tougher. Did I mention that? I don't think I did. Because at the end of the day, the tall boy with a person in the suit, that is like straight up just a robot. But she does a drop attack on it, it kills it. No, she cuts its head off or whatever, and it keeps fighting. So, I have no idea how you kill those guys. We'll see. He looks like he's dominoed, and well, yeah, you saw, because obviously she killed him, and then the rest of them died. That looks like a ghetto outsider shrine. So the guard outposts are the same. Like this thing, it looks like she just took a rune off it and it exploded. So there you go, it seems like it's taking the supernatural, like, other world thing into account a lot more than the previous game. The previous game, you went to the outsider's dream, you got your blink, and then from that point on you just buy your powers, you see the outsider every time you go to a shrine. This one, it seems like it's more of a recurring theme. Because there he was, in all his glory, in all his outsidery glory. Also, I wanted to note this, that rune is fucking massive. This shit looks like the shit from XCOM. It's mesmerized, I'm pretty sure, but it's fucking, it moves. This is from the XCOM first person shooter. Also, another aspect which we haven't really got much from, this guy, these are the infested bug things. He looks like an angry as fuck zombie. He like screams and then all the birds fly at her. Weepers, yeah, we don't really know anything about the Weepers or the plague yet. We know that it exists, but they have spoken very little about that. But what we saw there is a zombie-looking dude screaming, and then all these Weepers, all these fly things attacking you. So maybe they're a bigger threat in this game. Maybe they're not just these like zombies which will roam about, and if they see you, they'll like sort of jog over to you. They look like a lot more of a threat in this game, especially if they're like. You know, it's like, imagine if a Weeper like yelled and like a bunch of rats charged at you. They look like they're actually in leagues with the bird things. Also, the ring, the outsider mark, she didn't have it before, but now she has it. However, she is still wearing the ring. This is the outsider, so I think she gets the ring and something, I don't know how that comes into it, but that somehow allows her to get into the outsider's realm, and then the outsider gives her the mark, much like he did to Corvo about 8 years earlier. That's how I think it's going to happen. So there you have it, the 11th of November 2016, Dishonored 2 will be released. That's going to do it for my in-depth gameplay trailer video. Let's get up like the logo for the ending, so it's not a black screen. Oh no, birds. Also, this looks like the background from the church in Bioshock Infinite. Bam. There it is. Okay, Dishonored 2 E3. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what your guys' excitement is like. I am incredibly fucking excited for this piece of shit, which I've put way too much of my life into. This is... Oh no, it's window capturing, not monitor capturing. I was going to show you... Oh, I just realised I was going to open up Steam and show you my hours in Dishonored. And it's like default on Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I have 100 hours flat on Siege now. I just broke 100 hours, which is awesome. So I have 907 hours in Dishonored. I've not played it in a few months, and I've been going back to it today, or yesterday. I fucking love that game, and I have some skepticisms with this game, but I am very, very fucking excited. I can't wait to find out more. The fact that there's stuff which we don't even know about yet, like some of the powers, these like infected dudes we know so little about, other than what we just saw for about 2 seconds. I'm really fucking excited, and I hope you guys are as well. Yeah, let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you guys think of anything in the video. yeah, other than that, my name's been Yeti, and I will see you guys later. Thank you for watching. A like would be fucking phenomenal, especially since this took me so long to do. And if you want to see more Dishonored news as well, I'm going to be doing much more Dishonored 2 news as they start to announce stuff now. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys.